and I've been a licensed provider for 20 years.
This meeting is being recorded.
That's me.
Got it. All right. Been a licensed provider for 20 years, worked in a number of different settings, including residential treatment, correctional settings, doing in-home services like multi-systemic therapy, worked through northern New Mexico, and then Weld County and other sort of rural parts of Colorado as well. And was fortunate enough to join this team, the AgrAbility team, here again in July. So not sure why my slides aren't advancing. Okay, so AgrAbility project is present in about 20 states right now. The vision for AgrAbility is to enhance the quality of life for farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers with disabilities so that they, their families, and their communities continue to succeed in rural America. Historically, the focus of AgrAbility has been on helping people overcome illnesses, injuries, physical disabilities by doing on-site assessments, walking through a person's operation with them, trying to see what accommodations could be done to best help them continue to do this work while managing any particular physical disabilities. Behavioral health has been a focus of that, but my position came about specifically to work on addressing behavioral health. And it's funded through the Western Region Agricultural Stress Assistance Program. So many of you may be familiar with the FARSAN networks. The RASAP region that I'm part of is represented in the green states there. And our purpose is to expand Colorado AgrAbility to provide behavioral health, preventive education, and referrals to local providers. Again, this was a 3-year position, grant position developed through this particular organization. My particular mission is to expand and improve behavioral health support for farmers, ranchers, and their families throughout the Western region. And using the model of the 4 A's is kind of the framework for what we've done to try to approach this. So in terms of accessibility, we know that this is a national issue in terms of mental health providers and shortages in rural communities. So one of the things we're doing is resource mapping to develop a ArcGIS software across the Western region to identify providers that are interested, dedicated, or may have life experience or professional experience working with agricultural populations. For awareness, we want to try to promote every opportunity we can to share information, promote resources, increase behavioral health literacy. We know that there's this great study from a Journal of Rural Mental Health that identified that knowledge of mental illness emerged as the only significant predictor of and was positively associated with willingness to seek psychological help. So help-seeking behavior is really dependent upon prior knowledge. And so anything we can do in formats like this, or any opportunity we have to just continue to promote this as being as important as equipment maintenance, health maintenance, whatever we can do to help reduce that stigma associated with reaching out for help. Affordability, we have a long ways to go. Colorado is fortunate that we do have a voucher program. So we have the Colorado Agricultural Addiction and Mental Health Program that offers 6 vouchers or 6 free vouchers for agricultural providers and their family to get services. And they have a dedicated network of providers that have gone through agricultural competency and are dedicated to working with this population. Also currently working to reach out to providers in Wisconsin to gauge, Washington State, to gauge interest in being part of a network as they're in the process of developing their voucher program. I believe Arizona may also be in the process of developing a voucher program as well. So we've reached out to each state that has one of these voucher programs in place to kind of see what their structure is, what are some of the challenges and successes they've run into, so we can try to avoid reinventing the wheel if at all possible. But the hope would be, especially across the Western region that I'm part of, is to have enough voucher programs in place with dedicated providers to essentially work as an employee assistance program for those involved in agriculture. Again, we're a long ways off, but I'd like to get as much going in that direction as we possibly can. For acceptability, we'll understand that the courage it takes to get someone in front of a provider to overcome the stigma, to look at making that dedicated movement to seeking out support and help, that's a big step. And so the responsibility on providers to make sure that you are connecting well, you're developing rapport, you're honoring that person's lived experiences and connecting in a meaningful way is hugely important. So for most behavioral providers in rural communities, they have to be generalists. A lot of my clinical work has been done in very specific settings with very specific focuses, very specific supervision and training and support. And that's been fantastic. It's helped me, specialize in quite a number of areas. It's a very different thing if you may be the only game in town and you're having to create a massive knowledge base to be able to work with a wide range of disorders and symptoms and presenting problems. And so we also know that even if you are in a rural community, there's no guarantee that agricultural competence comes with that. And so one of the things we're doing, and I think this was maybe shared in the last monthly meeting that y'all had, but working with a project called Land Logic. And this is a clinical model that we've tried to adapt some of the really common CBT and ACT techniques, some of them that have been really essential through my practices in a number of different settings, but making cultural adaptations to that to make it hopefully as accessible and meaningful for populations involved in agriculture. And the overarching kind of umbrella for that is recognizing that the aerial photo or even a drawn representation of that land provides an amazing window into someone's experience. So hopefully we can better understand what someone's going through and then tailor interventions to best suit their own unique experiences in operation. So ultimately, the services that we are working on right now to provide are clinical consultation to any rural behavioral health initiatives, resource mapping, identifying and connecting champions across the state and region. We want to provide support, system navigation, and resource linking for farm and ranch communities. So although I'm a licensed provider, my current grant position doesn't allow me to do direct services. I do coaching and direct connecting to where as much as possible, try to make warm handoffs for agricultural clients into services that are well matched, well timed, well placed. We also provide a wide range of behavioral health topics, including COMET. We've taught on or presented on emotional well-being as we age. We're doing workshops, parenting workshops over the weekends for intervention and prevention of adolescent substance use for rural parents. We're also doing follow-up support through crisis lines and other systems of acute engagement. We're connected to Farm Aid. So anyone that calls into Farm Aid with behavioral health concerns in the Western region is offered to have me follow up with them within the next business day to try to figure out how best to assess their needs and get them paired up to the right services. And I can tell you through that process that working with people in states that have these voucher systems set up is a massive difference. We can typically get people set up to services in about 5 days in states that have voucher programs. By comparison, working with the gentleman out of New Mexico, from the time that I first met with him, figured out his insurance, figured out who would be a viable provider in his area. It was 50 days from the date of me first meeting him until we had the intake appointment. And now it's looking like another 50 days until we can actually get his first appointment with the provider. That's the difference between whether someone goes on to services or not. I still do weekly check-ins with him to make sure he kind of stays on track. And but it's a big reason why I'm really committed to promoting voucher systems wherever we can. And then lastly, with the Land Logic piece, offering training for mental health providers and agriculturally responsive practices. So that's kind of the quick down and dirty version of what we've got going on right now. So any questions, be glad to answer them. Otherwise, I very much appreciate the opportunity to share this work and to just be part of this network that's doing some amazing things to support our rural communities. So thank you all for the opportunity.
We love having you, Chad. AgriSafe is a fan of AgrAbility, and this group probably doesn't know I am actually in past AgrAbility clients, and
Okay.
I can give a great testimony to everything that AgrAbility has helped me. It basically gave me my farming life back, which then obviously gave me back my mental health. So I always have thumbs up for AgrAbility.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Carrie. And one of the things that that my position came about from as a result of some of the work with AgrAbility is they would do quality of life, McGill quality of life surveys at beginning and end of those services. And what they found is that through addressing the physical well-being, the people also endorsed psychological well-being increases. I can't remember the specific data now, but something like 20%, increased perception of support by 20%, and existential well-being by about 20%. So the idea was if we could already address that level of well-being through the physical focus, if we could also bring in that holistic perspective and address the behavioral health, then hopefully we can just increase that perceived satisfaction, quality of life. So
yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And I feel like all of you who are reps, like you are passionate about this job, and it comes out in your work and how you care for us. And that's anytime that I refer someone, that's my number one thing is, hey, like they don't just help you and leave you, like they're always checking in. We do have a question in the chat. It says, I am wondering what has been the biggest barrier you have encountered within this work?
That's a great question. And I think the biggest barrier continues to be awareness. I'm so impressed with the dedication and creativity and initiative of all these different programs and organizations that are working so hard to support our rural communities. And what I often see is that getting people, the right people in front of those seats and in front of those services continues to be an issue. I'm hugely appreciative of the opportunity to collaborate with people like Clinton and his group. I love their focus on upstream prevention work. And I want to make sure that for all of us, especially in Colorado and really throughout my entire Western region, that the left hand knows what the right is doing and that we're not duplicating services. We're not inundating our small communities with change saturation, and really being mindful to look at how can we best work together in a collaborative fashion to be able to ensure that we're really working with our communities and not to our communities. So yeah, I think the biggest barrier has just been, we put a lot of work into rolling out different workshops or presentations, and we're extremely grateful, even if we only have a handful of people show up to them, because we know that sometimes, change is in incremental steps. And so the more people we can reach, hopefully the better, but it'd be nice to just be able to get these things in front of more people. So thank you for that question.
All right, Miss Tara Haskin has a question for you.
Hi, Chad. Tara from AgriSafe. Where are you in the GIS mapping of providers? And can you clarify, are those going to be specific to mental health counselors or mental health specialties?
Yes, good question. So where we're at in that process is I'm waiting on CSU to purchase me the software. And in the meantime, I have a ton of notes on old-fashioned notebooks. And so what I'm basically doing is looking at, like for Washington State, I went through the 2017 Census Bureau information, identified which counties had the most farms listed in there, then went to the APA locator website, started looking through providers' theoretical backgrounds, trying to see who would be a good match, doing some clinically sound stuff, and then reaching out to them individually to say, hey, we're in the process of developing this network. Would you be interested? And doing the same thing in Colorado, just starting in the northeast corner, which is heavily agricultural, and working my way through. So as I've got sort of downtime in between things, then I keep trying to expand on that work. And then once we get the software, we'll plug it in. But at this point, I am really looking at it from that behavioral health kind of designation. The idea being hopefully that 211, Farm Aid, other acute crisis lines could have access to the same thing and be able to pull up hopefully providers in their areas to match the needs of clients.
Oh, that's great. You answered my next question, which was how are you reaching the providers? So good work. I can't wait to see how that rolls out.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Chad? Oh, here's one from Heidi. Have you had any difficulty finding enough providers given the shortage?
So far, I've actually been pretty impressed by the number of people that are interested in being part of the network. Now, whether that interest sustains itself through the actual, implementation of this. I'm not 100% sure, but like in Colorado, we have this network of 10 people. All those services through camp are provided by telehealth. And granted, there's pros and cons to that. But the upside is that assuming someone's got broadband access, then we can basically serve anyone within the state of Colorado. I would love in the future to have options for producers that range from in-person, in-office, to telehealth, to on-site or on-farm. And I know that's a whole different pay structure and scale to be able to work with, but I'd love to see that range of options eventually.
All right. Okay. All right. I don't see anything. We have some comments. I don't see any more questions, but you can go ahead and put those in the chat, or you can hold them till the end. But Chad, will you go ahead and put your contact information in the chat for everybody? We have a couple people who want to contact you.
Sure, absolutely. And thanks again, everyone. Appreciate the work that all of y'all are doing and the opportunity to share this. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, Clinton, you are up. Go to slideshow at the top. There you go. And then remember to unmute.
Yeah. All right. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. And my name is Clinton Wilson. I work with Rocky Mountain Farmers Union. Like Chad, I'm new to this position. We started a program at Rocky Mountain Farmers Union a few years back called the RPAN, and they got funding through the same program that Chad was discussing, the RASEP program for RPAN, and brought me on in December. And when I came on, we did a little bit of shuffling and realized that, as Chad was saying, our strength really is in the prevention, promotion of upstream kind of well-being strategies that deal with stress management and kind of coping skills to help people be healthy and well for when crises do come, and realizing that there are some really great programs out there that are providing direct service and doing a lot of other necessary work around educating around suicide prevention, mental health support, and substance abuse treatment. We want to be a bridge that links people to those. We have a small team that once I came on board, I hired a few people. I am good at a couple of things, but I'm terrible at technology. So the fact if you guys can see this and hear this is wonderful. I have a millennial on my team that loves to create slideshows and videos. And so she came on and created a couple videos. This is a short clip. We have a website, agwell.org, and on there you can find different resources that my communications person, who's also much more talented at social media than I, has been posting a lot of the stuff from AgriSafe and AgriStress and AgrAbility and the camp program. And we're really hoping to promote those other programs. But I'll go through this slideshow. If there's questions, let me know, and we'll see if this works. let's see if I can figure out how to advance like Chad. This past year was our first year of programming. We offered 17 workshops for farmers, ranchers, ag workers, and their families. These were workshops that we were calling our Running on All Cylinders workshop that really focused on farm stress and general physical and mental well-being support. We also offered 4 workshops for agents of different kinds, extension agents, NRCS agents, and insurance agents who work with and directly support people working in agriculture. This spring, we rolled out a 6-week series on well-being that was on Wednesdays. It was an hour-long in the middle of the day series. Our next series should start in July, and we're kind of framing those as just a conversation space, a curated conversation for people to discuss these topics. I believe our next series is going to be on stress coping strategies, and you can find information about that under the events tab on our page. And then we're hoping to gather a group of people that we're calling our peer support summit the end of the summer, but that's still in process. It's been a kind of a goal that's been on my chart since I came on, to get together with people and to get people all in the same room. Chad and I have talked a bit about making sure that the right and left hands are talking to each other, and there's such great organizations doing good work. We really would like to have people in person now that we're kind of doing that again, to kind of talk about what we're doing and how we can work together and support each other's work. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of what our program is. Our Running on All Cylinders program that's geared at farmers, ranchers, and ag workers really just kind of helps them see who they are and what makes them amazing at what they do, and what also creates some of the barriers to them wanting to seek help, or them wanting to take a break when they need to take a break, or to be kind to themselves when it's time to be kind to yourself, because there's such motivated individuals that are so driven. And we talk with them about stress. We go through different stressors. We talk about acute and chronic stress. And something that's come up while I've been in this work is the stress cycle, and really helping people figure out what does it look like to complete the stress cycle. If we have chronic stress, it's ongoing every day and it's the same stress, it's out of our control. If there's never an end to that, it just stays in our system, and helping people figure out what does it look like to bring that to a close through a day. We do a lot of different coping skills for people. Everybody's different. And so helping people find what's the best way for them to complete that in their day. And then like we talked about, doing a bit of prevention promotion of what's the importance of well-being and staying safe in your day-to-day life, getting enough sleep and exercise and things of that nature, eating well, doing things that you enjoy off the farm to take a break. And then breath is something that like I said, we really have focused a ton on. Box breathing is an exercise that throughout this, I've learned a lot more about. I was aware of it before, but it's something that I've started doing at the beginning of all of our trainings to get people connected to their breath. The average is like 20 to 30,000 breaths that we all take a day. And most of us never really pay much attention to any of them. And just stopping for a moment to connect to your breath and take a deep breath that fills your belly and just helps you feel present to where you're at is the quickest way to reground yourself in a stressful situation, in a crisis situation, when you're feeling, out of sorts. The breath does it. And so this box breathing is an exercise where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and then hold again. And I've actually incorporated it into my life. Every night before I go to bed, I usually go through 2 or 3 cycles of box breathing just to help me down regulate before I really go to sleep. And it's really been helpful for me. So that's one that we have found people really respond to, and we've gotten great feedback on our surveys about the breathing. We also go through the QPR main points of just checking in and listening and asking direct questions. And the one that I like to highlight, and this is one that actually came up when I was doing a comment training with Chad, and just the importance of follow-up. And if we're going to check in with somebody and really let them know that we care about them, and we say, hey, I'd love to connect with you, or thanks for sharing, that follow-up is so important, because when you do send them a text, give them a call, send them, I talked to a farmer and she's started picking up postcards and sends postcards to people that she knows is having a hard time, because it's an easy win. It doesn't take much, but you get something in the mail and you know that somebody's thinking about you. But just letting somebody know that they're on your mind, I think that's super valuable. The second training that we've done for the agents, we've called Building a Community Safety Net. And it incorporates a lot of the comment training. A lot of times we'll do the comment training at the end after we've kind of gone through some of the cultural stuff, but we've kind of built it into one training. And the comment is changing our mental and emotional trajectory. And it really highlights the importance of being that other person that really shows an interest in somebody and makes yourself available to provide support as needed, and really listening without having to fix anything, just being there to hear them. We also go through with these agents the suicide and crisis QPR main points, just so that they can really feel more comfortable, and we do some role playing with that so that they can talk with each other and really feel comfortable asking those hard questions and listening without having to respond. We like to provide resources. We direct people to our website where we provide resources for Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico, but helping people figure out how to plug in with resources in their community is also part of it. And then the peer support network is something that we're trying to figure out. And that's why I was asking Kathy, is how do we really get people to support each other that are supporting the ag people, but also create spaces for people in agriculture where they can really talk with each other and find that safe space within their own community. The agrarian imperative is something that's driven a lot of this work as I've learned about it. And as Chad was saying, the land logic was really built a lot around this. But just this idea that farmers and ranchers, they are so driven to protect their land, protect their business, protect their family's heritage, protect the livestock, the crops. They just go to, a lot of times, just what seems like unreasonable ends and puts their bodies and their families and their health at risk in order to protect these things, and really identifying that so that these people who support them can have greater empathy to really understand what it is that these people really are doing. And it's so much bigger than just what it seems like is stressful, or working with a broken leg, or working with, the drought and the high cost with the hope of never making a dollar. There's so much more involved there, and helping people understand that has seemed like a big win for us to really increase that awareness. This is the resource page that we give to people, and we usually provide it for the different area or state that we're working in. And I'm going to skip that one. This was just a video that, again, the talented assistant that we have created for the workshops that she did. And due to the nature of time, I'm going to skip that. There's my information, and happy to answer any questions that people might have about AgWell and what we're doing at Rocky Mountain Farmers Union.
Clinton, we have a question. What kind of attendance did you have at your online well-being workshops?
So it was a 6-week series, and we told people they could come and go. The biggest group that we had was 6, and we had one person that showed up every single week, and she was fantastic at just saying this is something that she put into her calendar. And that was our hope that we would have for 5 or 6. But this first time, we really wanted it to be a pilot. So we reached out to people, and we didn't market it on our social media outlets or really do too much networking with it. And so we're hoping this next time to draw a few more. We just kind of wanted to see if the format would fit for people, but definitely hoping for 5 to 10 would make a good conversation each week, but that's kind of where we landed. Most weeks it was 1 or 2.
Clinton, is that breeding the techniques on the AgWell website?
I don't think it is. And it's something that I can get to my social media communications person to put up, because like I said, it's super helpful, but I can send it to you, Carrie, and you can send it out to everybody if somebody wanted that. And I can even go back if people want to take a picture of the screen to see it. But if you look up box breathing, it's pretty cool. The Navy SEALs use it for times of, intense focus. And it's really just a fantastic way to get present.
Yeah, I feel like I need that in my life.
It helped me a lot more than I was expecting it to. And these other two right here are really cool too. The figure 8 breathing is just drawing a figure 8 in the dirt or on a table or whatever. We found that tactile, the data shows that the tactile incorporation of touch with your breathing or with your sight is really helpful. So you just breathe in as you're going around the figure 8 and breathe out as you go around the other side. And then the 5-finger breathing is breathing up a finger, down a finger, breathe out, up and out. And again, it connects you to that sense of touch so that it grounds you in as you're calming yourself down.
Okay. We actually have time if you want to go ahead and show that last video.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
It's fun. It was just about our series, and let me see if it will play. I'm going to stop sharing.
Those videos are great, Clinton.
Yeah.
Kudos to your millennial.
That's right.
I
I have really been grateful for her. She's so activated and motivated. She's actually the youngest city council member that Steamboat Springs has ever had. She lives in Steamboat and wanted to support change in their community. And so she ran for city council. And so she's also a city council member in Steamboat. And the one thing I was going to say that's been something that has come up is around exercise, because we got a lot of feedback from farmers and ranchers when we first started talking about it. It's like, I don't ever have time to exercise. I'm moving all day long. I don't need to exercise. I'm so active and busy. And the data that we keep coming back to shows that getting off farm and doing something that moves your body allows you to work out all the work and stress and everything that you're building up while you're on your farm. And if it's a walk, if it's a run, if it's a bike ride, it just gives you a different frame of reference. And so we've really continued to promote that, even though people kept telling us, I don't need to exercise. And we've said, it's good. The other thing that it does is it allows you the time, if you want to do stretching or yoga, to work on the prevention of injury on the farm. And we learned that through a collaboration and some conversations with a group out of New Zealand called Farm Strong. And they have done a lot of work with farmers and ranchers down there on injury prevention. And I hadn't even considered that, but they have some super cool stretches and stuff. If you're going to be calving, that works on these muscles that you're working with the cattle, if you're going to be down on your knees harvesting. And so anyway, Farm Strong out of New Zealand, if you haven't found them, look them up. They're doing some really cool stuff and really have been an inspiration to me with the prevention promotion stuff.
That's great.
Meg just brought that up to me in the chat to check them out as well. So yeah, you just reiterated that.
Good.
AgriSafe would love to help push out your videos. Are those shareable at all on any platform?
I think that they've been posted weekly on our social media platform. So
okay,
on our
we'll
Instagram,
find those.
I'm guessing that Leanne has put those out. So as we get them up, we'll be sure to share them with you guys, Tara.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm going to take that opportunity to show you guys. I'm going to share my screen. We, on our AgriStress page, you guys have the ability to come to our page and create a post, and then one of our admins will approve it. And I get some of your like email newsletters and stuff, and I will share it from there, but I don't get all of yours. So anytime you have anything that you would like to share and get out there more, just come to our AgriStress Response Network Facebook page and just go ahead and create that post, and we'll make sure that we get it shared for you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
What
we
a cool feature.
would love, I'm always looking for any kind of content, and if it helps one of our collaborating organizations, that's even better. So Clinton, I have one more ask of you. If you're comfortable and you have enough room, could you demonstrate the breathing technique for us?
Of course, I'd love to.
Okay.
So a lot of times I give people the option to close their eyes or not close their eyes, but since we're all safe behind our computer, you know, if you feel comfortable, close your eyes, and everybody's going to breathe out. So breathe out fully. And now breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. We'll do it one more time. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And the thing with breath that I love is you can close your eyes and you can be anywhere. You can be on a beach, on a mountain, by a stream, out in your field with your cattle. And I usually invite people to go to whatever they consider their happy place, where they really like, and breathe right there, because our minds are pretty fantastic in the way that we can remember those things.
My husband's going to send you a personal thank you note.
Sweet.
All right, let me look here and see if we've got any more questions. Just in case anybody missed that slide with your contact info, go ahead and add that to the chat. Does anybody have any more questions for any of the 3 of our speakers today? And if you came in a little bit later, I unintentionally had 3 speakers from Colorado, but now we have 3 wonderful organizations that we can all share and collaborate with from Colorado.
I have a comment or question, sort of.
Yes, go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so I'll lower my hand. It's so funny, you know, Carrie, you said something about like your husband will thank you. As a behavioral health therapist myself, I was with a client one time with another psychiatrist who was teaching them the breathing exercises, and they did one called 7-11, and it's you know, you breathe in for 7 seconds, which is a very, very deep breath. Sometimes you have to do it twice, and then you breathe out for 11. And basically what it does is it takes your brain from your amygdala, which is your snake brain, the part of your brain where you're angry and road raging, to your frontal lobe where you're calm. And I didn't believe it would work. And so just a funny story, I decided to try it. And I was mad at my husband over the dishes, you know, a normal thing you get mad about, right? And it was going on day 2, and I was determined to like still be mad about it. But I actually, on my way home from work, I pulled over and I did the breathing technique, and I couldn't be mad. And then I was kind of frustrated that I couldn't be mad. And so, you know, whether it's the box breathing or the 7-11 or the you know, the 5 or the, you know, the touch, the tactile stuff, it's so simple and it works, and it's something so easily taught. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there as a non-believer, even as a therapist myself. I had to do it to make sure it worked, and it does. It's so easy.
I feel like all of us, when we took that breath, like you could just feel everybody just like calming. And you know, what's the first thing when we tell somebody who's frantic? Like, take a breath, sister, right? You know, breathing, but doing it intentionally, I think is the key to all of that. So, all right.
I'll throw one more thing in. When
Yeah.
I learned that there was, most people take between 20 and 30,000 breaths a day. Granted, we're sleeping for a lot of those, but I realized I don't pay attention to many of them. And when I do, I'm so grateful for that breath, because breath is such a like vital piece of being alive. So that was a big shifter for me too.
And if I could throw out one last endorsement on the breathing too, it's definitely kind of the hallmark of crisis intervention that I'm aware of throughout my entire career. Because if we can control our breathing, we control our heart rate. So we pump the brakes on that fight or flight response. But one of the ways to really help people visualize how impactful this is through biofeedback. And there's some great programs like Heart Math. You hook up a little monitor to your finger, and as you teach people to breathe, they can see where the different parts of their brain, their body, their heart rate, all those things kind of get in coordination with each other. So it's one of the things that I've requested too from CSU is just biofeedback for the laptop, so we can take it out to presentations and be able to show people in just a few minutes how important and how much this can actually make a difference in our bodies. So I love the fact that Clinton promotes it tirelessly. So that's awesome. It's cheap, it's free, it's available to do everywhere, and it makes a huge difference in our stress response.
Thanks, Chad. That's why we're a good team. You can bring the science and I'll bring the whatever.
All right, so we have lots of great comments and thank yous for today's speakers today. We really appreciate all three of you guys, as well as the rest of the group, taking your time out to attend our meetings. We really enjoy them and hope to see you guys all next month in July. All right, see you later.